with LL, for instance, there was no other writer. With James Corden or with Trevor Noah, I'll often write a script. I'll write the first script and I will put in a few jokes, a number of jokes. And then I would share that with Trevor and he might pick a couple of his writers to add jokes. And then we will be on Zooms or in person and pick the jokes. I will tell you, last year was one of the most amazing moments. A, we're in Vegas, where I never thought I'd do the Grammys in Vegas. B, I was dealing literally at the same moment, this is the morning before the show, with the president of Ukraine, who made a special appearance. And we were working on his comments, co-writing with Zelensky what he was going to say. And I am on a special government app where it's top secret because apparently the Russians don't know how to get through that app, And I literally was on a Zoom we were on a Zoom with Trevor, but I'm also at the same time going back and forth, like telling the president of Ukraine he has to cut 10 seconds or something. And so it's a surreal world, but Trevor, the comedians know what they like. And so, yeah, it's like, I'll write jokes, they'll beat the jokes, but there's also the other sort of who they have to introduce, what the segment coming up is about. So it's a very collaborative and really, it's fun. I really quite like it.
How much of your, with the presenters, how much of that are you writing? I know there's a writing staff also, but how involved are you? There really
isn't generally a writing staff. I am the only writer for the last, when Kennerlich was the executive producer, he would write with me. But really on that show, it's a very sort of, I have to say it's been sort of great for me because music is my passion. So it's like, I have actually had like 20 years of trying to give voice to what the Grammys are. And they're really, there is no other writer really on that.
So you're working with the presenters too, writing
all the presenters. Now, the interesting thing about that is there have been over 20 years, like presenters who will have a strong opinion or not like something or pitch something. So, but for the most part, it's the good thing is it's sort of my weird little career is I don't know that I'm good at it, but I sort of think my only skill is I know how to write for other people's voices, and they think something they'll feel comfortable with. A lot of times historically, award shows were written by like 5 or 10 comedians in a room. The problem with that can be that 5 or 10 comedians in a room always go to the weirdest, most fucked up line they can get. And then a publicist or the presenter themselves reads it and goes, I'm not saying that. And the most common compliment I get is, this is great. This sounds like me. Or the better compliment is, this sounds like me, but better, and so that's what I live for, to do that. For instance, our, on the podcast, I don't know when this is going to air. Do you know?
A couple weeks.
Yeah. By the time this is aired, there'll be this podcast episode I did with Phil and I did with Jeff Bridges. And the reason we did it was that about a month ago, like Jeff Bridges was doing an event, not even on TV, an event that he asked me, or I was writing the event. So I wrote something for him. And then he goes, can you help me with writing this for the Governor's Awards? And I said, sure. And then I said, I'm doing this big telethon for the Motion Picture and Television Fund, which is will have already happened, but it's on here in KTLA December 10th, trying to raise money for that amazing place. But over the course of to make it more surreal, I was in New Zealand and Australia. I was on 4 continents, Zooming with Jeff Bridges, writing speeches for him. And at one point, it's 5 a.m. because of the time difference, and we're in Sydney, and my wife is in bed, and she's very graciously said, don't go down to the lobby. You can do these Zooms here. So we had this weird, surreal schedule of being on this vacation. That's again, every day at 5 a.m. with a Zoom to a different celebrity in the States. And so, but at one point, Jeff Bridges, who is my favorite actor since I was a kid, but I didn't know him well. I'm getting to know him well over these 3 weeks of Zooming around the world. And at one point he goes, David, you just get it. You write so well and you get my voice. And my wife is in bed and she goes, don't encourage him. And I thought, like, that's how, like, Jeff Bridges is so comfortable. My wife felt good, like, jumping into the conversation from bed.